you the parables because I need people to understand that the Bible is a book of riddles. So in Proverbs chapter 1, the Proverbs of Solomon, Solomon being the soul of man, when you look at the, also because soul is the sun, okay, and Solomon, this equals the moon. Solomon is both sun and moon worship when you start doing the etymology for the language, for the words. Okay, so soul of man, for gaining wisdom and instructions, for understanding words of insight, for receiving instructions in a prudent behavior. And when we look at the word insight, we need to understand that insight is the mind. Okay, insight equals the mind. This is the high mind. This is the cerebellum, or excuse me, the cerebrum. This is the God brain. Insight comes from the higher mind. Okay. Now, for prudent behavior, doing what is right and just and fair, for giving prudence to those who are simple instead of capitalizing and taking advantage of them, knowledge and discretion to the young. And what we teach our children today isn't knowledge or discretion. We're teaching them materialism. Let the wise listen and add to their learning. And this is what I'm doing. I'm listening and I'm adding to my learning. I'm being guided to information. I'm taking that information. And folks, when it sticks, when you read it one time and it sticks, you know that something's going on. Okay. Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance. Those that are seeking discernment get guidance for the understanding proverbs, parables, because I went over the other day with you about parables, because para means altered. So the parables have been changed. Okay? For the understanding proverbs, parables, and the sayings and the riddles of the wise. The riddles of the wise. Make sure I get that for you. The riddles of the wise. That's number 6. Okay? Now, when we look at 666, because that's what we're going to be hitting today is a bunch of 666, because I need people, I haven't done it for a long time. The Washington abbreviations is 23 and 1, which equals 24, and 2 plus 4 is 6. Why is this important? Why do I always break it down to a single digit? Because when language was written, before we had an alphabet, it was a binary system. You got to understand, we live in some type of simulation. Everything's just ones and zeros, ones and zeros. Sometime, probably tens of thousands of years, if not millions of years ago, something attached to a computer already. And that's what it needs. It needs your mind as space. Okay, they need solar panels for more energy to fire their equipment, because they're trying to wage war out there when the war that's going on is in here. It's in the higher mind, the cerebrum, and the lower mind, the cerebellum. Washington monuments abbreviations is 23 and 1. That comes to 6. Okay, so when we see the alphabet A, B, C, like this, we think of the alphabet as sounds. Okay, the alphabet is not sounds. The alphabet are emojis. Okay, they have meanings. These are symbols. Okay, they're symbols, folks. So when we think of sounds, to those that wrote the language, they're symbols, and the symbols have meanings as well. So this is why everything breaks down to a 6. This is why gematria is written in the numbers of 6. English gematria is written from A to Z by increments of 6. So 26 times whatever 6 is, and that's how they do the English gematria. 26 times 6 is 32. Carry your 3 is 152. So 152 is what Z represents. A represents 6. B represents 12, 18, and that's English gematria. Simple gematria is A through Z, 1 through 26. All right? And then you have your Latin gematria, you have your Hebrew gematria, you have Greek gematria. So there's many forms of gematria. Now, people will tell you that the gematria is of the devil, and it is. It's, what can I say? It is. Why? Because language is of the devil. Language and numbers were written in a fashion that they could place a spell on us. Okay, always remember that L is the reason for the fall. Okay, these here are also Nephal. Okay, L, Nephel. Okay, now the Washington Monument stands 6,660 inches by 666 inches. It was designated October 15th. 1 plus 5 equals 6, and it was designated 1966. That's 666. It took 6 years to build. Okay, and it is when you 6 years to build. What else was it? 6 years to build. I don't know. I've forgotten that last part, but we're going to go 6 years to build. And during the pandemic, why did we have to stand 6 feet apart? Huh? Think about that. When we're buried, it's 6 feet under. Okay? Because they break everything down. So when we are taught that the earth is spinning at 1,100 miles an hour, okay, and that we're moving through space at 2,843,666 miles per hour. Massachusetts equals 666 because it was designated on February 6th. It is the 6th state designated into the United States in 1788. 1 plus 7 plus 8 plus 8 equals 24, and 2 plus 4 equals 6. Massachusetts equals 666. New York equals 666 in English gematria. And Donald Trump was born in New York. Donald J. Trump, without the vowels in his name. is 666. Okay. Genesis 11:4 says, "Come," they said, "let us build a city," New York, 666, "with a tower that reaches to the sky, so that we may make names for ourselves and not be scattered about the earth." Towers. This is Genesis 4. Donald Trump owns Trump Tower in New York. Okay. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the image of God, that's created on the sixth day, because we're talking about Revelation 13:18. Okay. This parable here speaks about wisdom, which is Sophius. Okay. Or Sophia. Okay. And it talks about insight. Okay. Insight equals the mind, as I told you earlier. It's understanding what is saying. Insight is inside. Inside. Insight is inside. It's not out there in the world. That is not insight. Insight is from here. Insight is the mind, and the mind is the ark of the covenant. Your mind, your own mind is the ark of the covenant. Your commandments are written on your mind, the left and right hemispheres of our brains, which is the cerebrum. The mind is the cerebrum. You guys remember the movie X-Men, where the professor, the guy in the wheelchair, Patrick, whatever his name is, he goes inside that room and he puts on the helmet, and they call that cerebrum. They're showing you in movies that this is what it is. We're inside of some type of simulation where a person has literally hooked up to some kind of quantum computer, who knows how long ago. There's multiple movies that tell you all of this. You have The Matrix. The Matrix equals tricks. The Matrix. Okay, you have Transcendent, and this is the one with Johnny Depp when he hooks up to the computer. He's dying from cancer, and his work is so close to this precipice, so he's dying. So he just decides, hey, I'm going to use myself as a guinea pig. So they're showing you in that. In the movie Transcendent, you have also Lawnmower Man. Okay, and what are they? So many movies today. How many movies have you seen that have to deal with some types of virus, something that is causing a sickness and stuff? I need you to understand that the government are the ones that sit in laboratories, and they're the ones that do the vaccinations, which equals 666. Okay? So you have Massachusetts that's 666, New York that's 666, Donald Trump that's 666. The Washington Monument I showed you earlier is 666. Okay? Now, also, like COVID-19, COVID backwards is Devok, because these people do everything in reverse. Devok equals a Daibuk, okay? And a Daibuk is an evil spirit, okay? It latches on to a human, animal, or mankind. Why is there these two different? What's the differentiation between these two creations, the human and an image? So I'd like to share something with you guys. Give me a second.
Clicked on this video, chances are good that you've struggled with violent texts in the Old Testament.
Okay. So there's not many comments in the woman's thread, so I listen to it. I listen to all kinds of Christians and stuff because I enjoy theology. I've learned since finding the truth about duality, it doesn't do any good to get upset and be all pissy and because somebody else doesn't believe the way you believe, doesn't think the way that you think. That's all by design to get some kind of emotional reaction from you, from this darker entity that resides on the other side of the lower mind, the dark side of the moon, if you were to say. Okay. So I said, I have two questions that touch one another. Do you believe in demons? And if you do believe demons, what class of people would you classify as a demon? She says, yes, I believe that demons are rebellious residents of the spiritual realm. No people are demons. People are the image of God. And that I found very, very fascinating when she wrote that. They like to say that a lot, the image of God. Okay. I said, may I ask another question since you've brought up those created in an image of God, which we're going to be going over? Okay. Could you share or explain to me your thoughts of what it means to be created in an image? For me, this is one of the most fascinating parables in the Bible. Also, now that you've identified yourself as something other than an AI robot, back to my initial question, which started this dialogue, can demons possess those created in an image? Because that's where she led to. And I've been at my channel, I teach that those that are created in an image of God are not the same as those that are created in a human. So her next response is, when I read it, was pretty much spot on. She says, I've written a whole book on what it means to be God's image. I have a short video in the Torah Tuesday playlist about it, or you can listen to any of the podcast interviews I've done on the topic. Yes, demons can possess those created as God's image because every human being is the image of God, and some humans are possessed by demons. Okay, now, not every human being is created in an image, but yet they are. But the difference is that the spirit, the human is a spiritual being. It is not the same as the God Elohim that created himself in an image. Okay, so this is something that I need to go over in detail with you, because in the Strong's Concordance 6754, image, and this here is telling you straight up, I'm a mage. So an image is a mage. Mage, again, is a sorcerer. Okay. A mage is also a magic man or woman, sorceress, which is your magi, which is your magistrates. I'm going to keep drilling this in your head until it makes sense to you about seeing this reality as I see it, because this content, it can't be touched by anyone, because it's all about wordcraft. Okay, and I have learned their wordcraft. Okay, it can't be denied. This is where you're getting your MAGA, all your MAGA. So everybody out there in the world that's screaming MAGA, MAGA, make America great again. Half the nation probably know what MAGA really means, but the other half are completely oblivious and don't have a clue what MAGA means. But those that do know what MAGA means is probably because they're a hive and they understand that they're talking in a language that you ain't paying attention to. Okay, when you get into the etymology dictionary, you start seeing how horrid the language really is that we speak. So you have these debauks here, dibooks, which could also be the same here as your magic men. Okay, but they're evil spirits. Okay, this is why it's saying in the Bible that you're not to practice sorcery. Okay, so people that are slinging those tarot cards and doing readings with tarot cards and stuff like that, and then they make statements like, I went into a tarot room the other day and I said, isn't tarot card readings supposed to be like not good? And I wasn't rude or anything, but man, she blew up. Why? Because when somebody comes into a room like that where people are doing readings and stuff, that's their money. They're trying to make money from that. They make money from that. So when somebody like me comes into the room and says, hey, isn't this kind of like sorcery? And this one lady, she says to me, I'll have you know that tarot cards are in the very Talmud, the book that was written. What a lying sack of shit that was. To say something like that to somebody who knows what's being read inside of the Bible is such heresy. I mean, she straight out told a lie on her channel right to my face, and then fucking clicked and kicked me out of the room. And that there proves, you see, because look at my channel. I don't ask anybody for money. I never have once. I go out, I earn my own money. I work, and I'm going to retire with what I work with, and that's it. That's going to be enough for me. I'm just going to buy me a land. I'll live in a little freaking shack, a little shed. Doesn't matter to me, man, because none of this matters. The world doesn't matter. It's made you think that all this shit matters. That's what the devil is. The devil is materialism. Give me a second here, real quick. You see, so I start looking at these tarot cards. I don't practice them. I don't sling them. I'm not going to buy any of them. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. Okay. So, but what I found quite amusing was the devil. Now, the devil is number 15. If I don't knock it over, I don't know if you can see that. There you go. Now you should be able to see it. So the devil is number 15. And I tell you everything that they break everything down to single digits in this realm here. Okay, I might come back to that and show you some more. So the devil is temptation. Attachment, which is big. Possessions. Your possessions, they possess you. Okay, addiction, materialism, and what I want to show you this one again. Look at what it says. Look at that. You see that? Shadow. Okay, in their card, shadow. Okay, now the image means to shade. That is your shadow, to shade a phantom. Okay, it is a representative figure especially an idol. This God is Elohim. Okay, it's not Jesus. Unless you're going to say that Jesus is Elohim, and it's, who's to say Jesus could be possibly Elohim. This Elohim here is 430 in the Strong's Concordance. Okay? The definition of this God here is gods in the ordinary sense. Ordinary? Gods in the ordinary sense? Gods in the ordinary sense, but specifically used of a supreme God. That's the definition of God, Elohim, in the Strong's Concordance, is gods in the ordinary sense, but specifically used of the supreme God. Now, in the New Testament writings, God here, his definition is a controller and a magistrate. Okay, your religious leaders. Okay, religious leaders. Do that every time. Religious leaders and your political leaders. Okay, these are your magistrates. Okay, and the magistrates, the magi, they have placed us underneath of a spell, right? This is important because this is where you get your L. Okay, I feel, nobody's told me any differently. This is my own theology. This is my own understanding. It's nobody else's. It's something that I've learned on my own. I feel that the L is the one who is hell and is the one that is below. And this is where we live in a world where we say hello, but hell then was pronounced Shoel. Shoal, ol. So L here, 430, God, Elohim, and then you have 410, God, and this one here is Almighty. But I think it's us. We are almighty. It's us that are almighty, not them. Okay, when you vote for them, you lose the very power that you have over them. They're the ones that created this slave world. There's a scene in The Matrix. If I could show movies and run movies and sit there and tell you guys what's being said and say, okay, this is what they're really saying here. This is what they're really saying here. And then when they show you something and they say, like the Earth, there's a scene where Keanu Reeves comes out and he's talking with Morpheus and he's like, we live in a simulation? And Morpheus looks at him and says, is it so hard to believe? Okay, and then they go into the dialogue. He goes over and he touches the chair and he's like, is this chair real? And then Morpheus says, define what's real and what's not real. And that's what I'm trying to teach you, is that to shade a phantom before the representative figure is an illusion. and it's an illusion that has been put on our eyes. Illusion equals 666. So now you know that there's a God Elohim, there's a God El, and these are the gods of the elect, the elite. And the Bible says that the elite, which are supposed to be God's children, will be misled. Why are people being misled? Because of their egos, their ego minds. I have to turn this AC on a little bit now. Okay, the elite will be misled from the elect, which is, hold on, the electric, again, trick. The electric and the matrix are tricks. Okay, electric is a negative pole. Okay, electric is the electrification of the materialized world. And I just showed you on the tarot card that the devil is the materialized world. Okay, the electrification of the materialized world, this equals centropy. Okay, now this is why you have the elect and the elite and the electric, the trick, because we live on a grid. This is an electrical grid. Just like they're producing for you in Hollywood when they're showing you grids, it's the same thing. What does Satan do? Mimics everything that the Most High does. People are telling you that you can't, that Satan can't create. That's a line of shit. Because Satan or Satan or the beast or the dragon or the devil or Lucifer or whatever you want to call him, Satan, in the material world, Satan equals Santa, and Santa Claus equals 666. This connects Satan and Jesus, us Christians. They believe that a man died on a cross for our sins because you're too weak to hold yourself accountable for your own actions. You misdirect, you blame shift, you scapegoat. Oh, I got Jesus. Jesus got me covered. I'm saved by the blood of Jesus. Saved by the blood of Jesus. Okay, John 6:56 and 57 says, "For my blood is good food, or my flesh is good food, and my blood is good drink. Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood remains in me, and I in him." So when we do that, when I quote you that, remains in me and me and him, you got to remember again, this world here is an illusion. An illusion is 666. An illusion, one of the definitions for an illusion is the phantom. And a phantom is where you get to a ghost. And the ghosts, we, the spirits, are hosts in a shaded flesh suit, okay, which talks about Ezekiel 31:3, the Assyrian, Satan, the Assyrian is a cedar, which is a tree of knowledge of good and evil. Okay? The cedar, the Assyrian Satan, is the cedar, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Satan is the liberator in the Gnostic teachings that released Adam and Eve from ignorance, from the worship of only one God. Now, this God here is Israel, and what people got to understand is that when Adam and Eve and everybody's connected to the higher mind, the supreme mind, the Ark of the Covenant, the two tablets of God, the commandments of God that are written right here on your plane of on this, there's nothing going on out there in the world, folks. Everything that you see is not simply a projection from what's going on inside of the mind and being projected outwardly. You're looking at the world outwardly and you're bringing it in this way, and that's not the way we see the world. Okay, if the veil came down between this reality and the one that we're living in, what you would see is burnt buildings, a scorched sky, tore up. The rivers are black. Everything's dead, bellied up, man. They've killed and destroyed everything. So they built a fake illusion by entrapping us inside of a lower mind. They've taken the lower mind. This is the cerebellum, because everything I'm trying to teach you is about the gods. L, 410, 430, then you have 6754. This is Yahweh. Okay, this is Elohim, and this one is El. So when it says the Lord, Yahweh, the Lord, our God, this is the Lord, Yahweh, God, Elohim. I listen to a lot of ministers in Israelite. There's a channel out there, Brother Maine, and he teaches that the Lord God, the Lord our God, when it says the Lord our God, is the Lord Yahweh, Elohim. Two different creations. One creation is created on the sixth day of creation, which ties into 13:18 of Revelations. Here's a call for wisdom. Let the one with insight calculate the number of the beast, for it's the number of a man, and his number is 666. So Donald Trump's name. Now, you don't just get to take vowels out of people's names like Yahweh or anything like that. This is years of searching, seeking, trying to find the answers. This is called research that I have done. This is me, my research. It's not something that's been shoved down my face by another instructor of Christianity. Okay, so when you start getting into the research of it all, you start understanding. Now, they called COVID-19. And this number here has so many different types of meanings. Number one, in the Strong's Concordance, it means to slaughter. Slaughter them how? With the vaccine. Okay? Vaccines are 666. Vaccines come from doctors who write prescriptions. Scriptions. Could you imagine script. So, like, this is why these things are called snake. I don't know what they call prescriptions this day, as opposed to all of the Benadryl and the liquids and all the stuff that they used to give their children. They used to have heroin in that shit. Could you imagine that? The men are basically getting their women all high, and you know, the perverted men that we are when it comes to sex, who knows what they did back then. So the prescriptions, what if ascription, what if all of a sudden prescription, what if you pop a pill and they know that that the chemicals that are releasing from this pill cause a chemical reaction to your own body, and it scripts, it knows that something is going to happen to you this particular way. These people have been studying this stuff for a long ass time, folks. So the doctor that writes prescriptions comes from the snake oil, comes from the pharmacy. Okay? Pharmacy comes from Latin, which is pharmacia, CIA. Okay? And then they changed the F to PH because they needed to get you the word harm, because duality. Pharmacies are both good and evil. They have cures for cancer, folks. They have a little old pill that you could pop inside your mouth right now, man. All your cancers would go away. But they don't give it to you because they make more money off of you and their healthcare system, the broken healthcare system, that they write all kinds of ungodly increases on prices for medical aid, and then up it like by 3 times the cost. What you pay for an 8-ounce bottle of Listerine, $3, $4 in a store, they want $16 for it through the health card, and they give you money each month. Like for my dad, they give him $80 a month each month, and if that money doesn't get used, guess where that money goes? Right into the politicians' pockets. This is how they write laws. This is why the healthcare system is broken, because they're not doing anything for the people that are sick. They want you sick. This is why they put GMOs in the food. It's why they fluoridate the waters. Okay, it's why they chemtrail the skies. Okay, it's why they put the prescriptions on the streets. Okay, and then you have your street drugs. Okay, they give you the free pornography. Okay, and all of these things are stumbling blocks to keep you from finding your spirituality. So now 1 plus 9 equals 10. Number 10 here, give me a second, is the wheel of fortune, change, cycles, fate, luck, destiny. So when they brought in COVID-19, breaking all these things down, when I started looking at the tarots, it's really tarot cards, and looking at this and then cross-referencing things to the Strong's Concordance, you start realizing that these people are writing in code. These tarot cards, they hold power. There's a lot of magic behind these tarot cards. They really do work, but we're not supposed to be messing with them. At least that's the instructions that we're given. Look, the Bible's telling us that we're supposed to behave a particular way. And today, now I can see that everybody is going the opposite way of what the scriptures are telling us to do. We got atheists by the millions out there. We got tens of thousands of channels out there polluting the internet, telling young girls today that may be listening to it that it's okay to go out there and fornicate, man. Don't be shameful. Don't let this world tell you and be shameful of going out and doing something like that. Just go out and pollute your body with demon semen. Let men climb on top of you, man. Throw your legs open for any man that comes along. Who cares, man? You don't get it. There's consequences. The Bible did say you're not supposed to behave in this type of manner. So therefore, the creator, the source, the supreme source, has created something that he permitted. Okay, that's 13:15 of Revelations. Okay, for the second beast was permitted to breathe into the first beast, so that the image of the first beast could speak and cause those that didn't worship it to be killed. Who's the image of the beast? That would be First Colossians. It says, for the Son, Jesus Christ, is the image of the invisible Father, firstborn over all creation. Now, I used to think firstborn over all creation was Cain. Cain would have been the firstborn because Adam and Eve were thought into existence. They fell from the higher mind, the Ark of the Covenant, right here, to the lower mind, the cerebellum. And the cerebellum are the fallen. They're here to keep you trapped inside this body, which is a computer, and the brain is an antenna to both worlds. To the higher mind, our conscience, the higher self, the higher mind of ourselves that guides us along the way. That mind, that voice in our head, everybody has it. But what happens is when you start doing a lot of shitload of drugs and stuff, that voice disappears. So now when we look at one here, one is, again, the magician. In tarot card readings, one is the magician. 19 means to slaughter. With the vaccine that they forced on people, COVID spelled backwards is Devok. A Devok is a Daibuk is an evil spirit that is capable of latching onto a human, an animal, or mankind. Mankind, in simple gematria, equals 66, and mankind's created on the sixth day. That is 666. So simple. Nobody's going to listen to this, though. It's the strangest thing in the world, man. This number, when you talk about it the way I expose it, scares the shit out of Christians. Why? Because I figured out the riddle. Those Christians, millions of Christians out there that know that they're lying out their ass, man. That Jesus can't save anyone from their sins. Jesus told you, I can do nothing myself. Nothing myself. I can only do what I see the Father do. And whatever the Father does, the Son does likewise. Yeshua was a man that was approved by God, Acts 2:22. Okay? Yeshua, hear, O children of Israel, Yeshua was a man approved by God who did wonders, who did miracles, wonders, and signs by God. Miracles and wonders and signs by God through him, Jesus. God did miracles through Jesus, which those of you he know did in the midst of you. Oh, dear goodness. I love this. The midst of you. I'm sorry, I can't talk right now. I'm right in the middle of a show. But if you want to go on YouTube, and I'm live right now. So I'll talk with you later. Bye. Mankind, 666, created on the sixth day, Revelations 13:18. Jesus is the image of the invisible Father, firstborn over all creation. The firstborn means that the firstborn is that God that creates itself in an image, a vain show of itself. That God, Elohim, that creates itself in an image is an idol. It's an idol. It's not even for reals. It's a figurine. So now you have 1 here, and then 9 represents the hermit. Now, a hermit is a person that is in solitude and has a desire to seek the truth, a pathway of righteousness. A hermit is not a bad thing, but what they think of us, the population, because the hermit is a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual walk. Okay, with you and your higher self, your mind, your conscience, your better self than the life that we live in the flesh, because that flesh is powerful, man. It leads us. It whispers in our ears. It's got DNA that was set in line. Look, I can beat any argument on the face of the earth with any atheist in a snap of my fingers with 2 purposes. And these are it. There's no such thing as an atheist in a foxhole. When you go out to war and there's bullets and bombs that are exploding by you, you are screaming for God to protect your ass then. And that's a fact. Okay? And the other one is when you are banging on your wife in the bed, or your wife and you are both saying, oh my God, it feels so good. Oh my God, oh babe, oh God, yeah, oh God. I win, you've lost. It's ingrained in us to talk about God. There's nothing anybody can do about it. God is real, very real. Lower gods in the cerebellum that have hijacked our minds and trapped us in a vault are the demons. Elohim are both good and evil. It's us. I have lived a life that is very contrary, and some could call me a demon. I would call myself a demon. I was running around like a demon. I was robbing people's homes. I was kicking in people's doors. I was stealing shit. I crack people upside their head and ask them where their dope is. Don't give me any shit. I did all that. It will be answered to if it hasn't already been answered by it. Because, I've had my ass kicked by the police now, and, this is a balanced system. So, I don't know, man. Maybe that ass whooping I got was payback. This is karma. This is a karma world, a karmatic ick. Again, I told you the other day, ick. You have ick equals icky. Okay, equals a virus. This is why you have ick in politics and capitalistic, because it's all a virus. Give me a second. Sorry about that. Okay. So 1 is the magician, 9 is the hermit, 10 was of the, what did we say the 10 was? There's another one too. 10 is the wheel of fortune. Okay, which meant change. So they've changed. They changed everything by an agenda. Things don't just randomly happen in this world. Everything that happens for a reason. Okay? When JFK being executed and his head blown off. the synchronizations between Lincoln and Jefferson. You know, Lincoln, I would pull this information up right now on my other phone, but the brain died on it. And now because the brain died on it, I've lost so much information, and it kills me. I mean, a lot of information. So I got to go back to the drawing board and see if I can tap into my higher source to pull this stuff all out again. So this is why you have the word tick and realistic, because it's an illusion that God that created itself in an image of God is an illusion. It made itself the most beautiful angel of all. Are you guys starting to see a connection here? In this case here, that God that creates him in the Strong's Concordance equals self. And self has the word elf, and an elf is a magical mystical mystic. I have to figure that one out. So L again in self. I did this the other day. You have El, Elohim, Eloheka, Elonu, El Elyon, El Shaddai, the angels, Michael, San Raphael, Uriel, Gabriel, Azaziel, and all of the L's that reside in the lower mind. Again, the cerebellum. And the bellum means war. The etymology for bellum means war. Okay? When we get cerebellum, when we do cerebellum, that takes us to parabellum. And parabellum means altered. The parabellum is the cerebellum. This part of our mind was altered because our brains are antennas. So mankind was able to change and alter. Okay, look, go to YouTube and type in rat walks through a maze by probes in his head. And it's going to bring up a little 58-second video, man. It's going to show you how they make that rat turn right and left and walk through that maze perfectly. Okay? Well, guess what? That's what we are right now, man. Well, 95% of the people walking on the plane of this existence are robotic NPCs. They don't remember anything. Therefore, they vote. They don't remember anything, so they vote for demons to rule over them. And then once you vote for a demon to rule over you, your ass is done. That demon rules you now because you voted for the demon. So parabellum means to alter. It means abnormal. So the brain is abnormal. Now, remember when Trump or Obama said that all of us have a reptilian mind? That was a truth bomb spoken right to you in front of the population. We have, the brain is 4 different brains, man. You have the left and right hemisphere, the masculine and the feminine. You have the man brain, the ego, the one that leads us astray, the whispers in our ears, the ones that why we all of a sudden drugs pop in our mind or something, and why we're addicts, because this has somehow been able to release chemicals inside of our body that causes desire for it, man, because our body already has natural drugs inside of it, man. So it's able to make, this is why why we're born addicted and stuff, because this entity changes things. It alters the cerebellum, which is at war with the Ark of the Covenant, our higher selves. Okay? Now, I was talking earlier, God of Israel equals 666. Okay, God of Israel, this is Yahweh. Okay, and then short form Yahweh is Yah, and Yah is Lord, equals 666. And then you have Ninhursag is 666. Okay, now Nurhenseg is the sister of Inky. Inky equals EA Sports. Okay, EA Sports. Now, if you go to Google and you Google who is the god AE? If you ask that, why? Because I'm getting to AEIOU, because the vowels, all the vowels are used as deity gods. They're a chant. AEIOU, AEIOU, AEIOU. It's a chant because they're demons. This is their language. Every language that's ever been written now has been invaded with vowels. Hebrew was never written with vowels. The vowels were added later. So the minute you add the vowels to try to translate what the Hebrew, the original Hebrew language is saying, you get what's in Jerusalem today, the paleo-Nazi mixed breed mixture of Jerusalem. USA sends Jerusalem aid into the billions of dollars. This is why USA is in Jerusalem, because USA is part of Jerusalem. And those in the providence of Jerusalem are not God's chosen children. God's chosen children are probably freaking hiding out, or they're running the world behind the scenes and nobody knows. What better way to stay in control of the world than to run the world from behind scenes and understand that everybody that is frontmen are people that are selected for power. They're selected. Now also, you have Salem, which is equated to witch hunts. And I think that I've proven my point about the magistrates. So this is what's going on in that providence. Two, three, four, five, six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a 6-sided hexagon. A hex equals a spell from the El, which is the Elohim, which resides in the cerebrum, the lower mind. This is the God brain, or excuse me, the man brain, the ego. This is what keeps us from learning anything, man, is because Christians know everything. Your child knows everything. They're 14 years old and they know everything in the world. And not only that, they're prideful. And because of their prideful and the fact that they know everything in the world, When they need help, the prideful side of them prevents them from being humble and asking for help. So they allow the world to continue to beat them up, not knowing, thinking that eventually everything's going to level out, and it never does. It never levels out on this plane of existence, because you got evil that has placed a hex over us, and that evil is Jerusalem. That evil is what they're calling themselves, Israelites. Okay? And this is where you get the elites. So the elites, God's real chosen children, if you're following this religion that gives you the name Jehovah, then you are worshiping the devil. If you are a Christian, you are worshiping the devil. I know you don't understand that. I prove everything I say, because Jesus is the one who claims that he's the beginning. Okay, in the beginning is 60 seconds, 60 minutes, and 24 hours. 6 plus 0 is 6, 6 plus 0 is 6, 2 plus 4 is 6. Beginning, Jesus is the beginning, that's 666. Jesus is the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Okay, 6 plus the Word comes to 60, and then 6 plus 0 is 6, and the Word said 3 times is 666. Jesus is the Word. Okay, Jesus was crucified at age 33. This is a Masonic number. Look at that. Mason, a Masonic, the ick, the icky, the virus, the disease, the Masons, the pieces of shit, the fudge puckers, the English lion douchebags, the rotten of the rotten, the stank of the world. That's what the Masons are. And they hide behind their numbers that I have figured out. You can't talk shit past me anymore. Nothing. I know your language. I'll bust you at every corner. If you don't straighten your shit out, when this vessel collapses into the ground and my spirit leaves, I shall report your evil doings. And the only thing I want for you, no more flesh suits. This is it for you. You don't get any more flesh suits. This is your last reincarnation. If you don't pull your heads out of your ass, you're going to wander as a spirit in your own conscience with nothing for eternity. And that's a hell that you don't want to deal with, folks. It has nothing to do with burning and frying in the lake of fire. Okay, all that shit. That's all fear tactics. The only thing you have to fear is fear itself. Everything that they show you on the media is Medea. Medea is a Greek god. It's all false deity gods. People who love diamonds. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. That is the god Dia. Again, you are worshiping deity gods. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. Diamonds, give me a diamond. I don't care if it's a $1 million diamond. I'd take that baby and I'd smash it right in frickin' front of you guys, letting you know that it's worthless. It means nothing. The same thing with money. It's just the means to survive. Oh, by the way, money is monetary. And monetary equals 666. I know so much stuff about 666, I can't even remember it all anymore, man. I'd have to start studying my own material again, because I keep adding to it and adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. And it can't be denounced. None of this can be denounced. COVID-19, all the numbers, the dates, executions, all of it. Time stamps, the exact second these events take place are all logged into their calendars, to their dates. And this is how they get their algorithms, and this is how they know how to do things at particular times. I hope you all figure this out, because I did. I mean, I'd ask all of you, please just study the stuff yourself. Get in that etymology dictionary and start typing words into the to the etymology dictionary and break them down into syllables and watch the scary shit that you're gonna read. It's horrifying. Anyways, much love. Don't let this world. Remember, folks, when you're born. This is another big one too. Might as well hit it while I'm here before I close out. That God that creates himself, okay? Okay, self is properly self. Properly self means individuality. Individuality equals properly self. The elf in the El of the Elohim fell into individuality, and then individuality has to divide. So though we are giving our own individuality, we fell into duality. So what I want people to try to focus on today is not getting upset where you feel you got to jump in the comment section and respond in hate and anger. If you want to respond, but do it in love, because these entities don't understand love. Don't be angry anymore about somebody not agreeing with you, man. If they're in darkness, don't let them be lost, but understand that lie equals lie. And this is why you have lie in religion and politics. Okay? Which is the capitalistic. I did that earlier in the show. So lie is in religion. Lie means to lie. This is why the letters L-I. Tick is a bloodsucker, folks. Come on, man. That's why all those people that are on TikTok, oh my God. I can't even go on that channel, man. I watched 3 shorts, man, and that's it. I'm done. I can't watch it because it's all so much garbage. And then now you have AI that's producing shit, or it's probably humans pretending to be AI, but there is something that is trapped inside of a machine. I know that. Okay. TikTok, that equals time. Time ticking off the clock. Tick tock, tick tock. A tick is a bloodsucker. A bloodsucker is a vampire. Okay? Because why? Because we fell into our individuality. We're giving our individuality and we think our shit don't stink. Everybody on this plane of existence thinks that they know everything. And it's getting worse. I mean, it's getting horrifyingly worse, man. It's just exponentially just moving forward. It's exploding into just complete darkness. But the word darkness is something that I want everybody to look at, because when you look at Jesus, he tells you that he is the light, that he is the life, and that he is the way. Okay? But you have lie in the light and lie in the life, because that man, that God that creates itself in an image, is an illusion. Okay? Lie backwards, illusion, Sion, Zion, S-C-I-O-N, scion. They have the car out there. So light, life, the living, and to live all have lie in it. Every single one of them. Because life, what we're living in this flesh suit, isn't real. Your body, your carnage, unless it goes into the book in this world here, like Donald Trump and all the past presidents and all of them, their name is in the book of life. Their name, why? Because their names live historically. Historically. Their names are written in the history books, which means that they are stuck here for eternity. Those presidents, those governors, those senators, those assemblymen, those people that vote for them will all be stuck in this reality. Now you see that lies in all of this, and there's a movie called Poltergeist where the child is somehow sucked up into this other world, and they're trying to get the daughter back out of this spiritual realm that she's went into, and she says that she can hear her mother, and her mother, your voice is coming from the light, Mama, I hear your voice coming from the light. But the medium, the little midget lady that's playing in the role, she's all like, no, tell her to stay away from the light, don't go to the light. And her mother's not understanding, because why? We've all been indoctrinated that Jesus is the light, Jesus is the life, Jesus is the life and the light, Jesus is the lie. Straight up, man. Jesus is the lie. And then when we go to the opposite way, what do we have? We have darkness. And sadly for this, we have the ark, which is the covenant. This light that we see out there, that's externalized. Look, when Jesus says, I'm the light, the truth, and the way, where he makes reference to, if your eye, singular he uses here, eye, one eye, if your eye is full of light, then how great is the light that is in you? Or it says, then your whole body shall be full of light. But if your eyes, why does he go from singular to plural? Because in this case, he's talking about your forehead eyes. Not this. This here, the eye, when he makes reference, this is your lamp stand. And it's called the pineal gland. It is the all-seeing eye. It is your recording device. At death, everything that you went through in your life is compressed. It's compressed on this organ, this recording device, this spiritual recording device. It's compressed. You're probably going to stand between, for review. I don't want to say judgment. I don't think that the Supreme Spirit is going to judge the way that everybody thinks he's going to judge. I think that judgment is going to be left here in the lower mind, the realm, and you don't ever get out of here. And then the lower mind is that material world out there. And then being stuck in the lower mind, that world out there degrades after each reincarnation. Can you imagine this earth 100 years from now? After spraying the skies for fucking 100 years, after another 100 years of poisoning the waters, another 100 years of sewage spills into the ocean, another 100 years of thousands and millions of fish washing up on the shore, birds mysteriously burning from the sky, more fucking 100 years of more fucking forestry being all cut down, more destruction to the earth. The Bible says plainly, he says, Job 9:24, okay? The earth has been turned over turned over to the wicked, turned over to the hands of the wicked. Ick, ick, icky, ick, a virus. Man, I'm telling you, this stuff is awesome. Learning this stuff is awesome. It's such the killer stuff. All right, folks, I'm going to cut out. I hope you liked it. Phone turned away from me, so I couldn't tell if anybody was here. So if you were here, welcome. Sorry that wasn't able to interact with you, but I wish you all the best. This is White Raptor News Ministries. Beast is a fallen spirit. What's up, buddy? TV. I didn't know I was on for so long. Okay. Let's see. Well, skies, the chemical skies to prevent the sun from burning them up because they aren't supposed to be here. They belong in England where it is cloudy. Yeah, I wish they'd take their asses back to England. I got kicked out of a room out of a forum for just typing that itself. So, yeah, thanks. Let's see. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for everybody for coming on in, and I'm gonna cut out of here. I got other things I got to do. Much love to everybody, man. Try not to hate people, because there's an entity out there that feeds off of that stuff. All praise and glory to the higher conscience of yourself, to the higher mind, to the Ark of the Covenant. This is White Raptor News Ministries.